Welcome everyone. Let's jump in here. So my site was New York, Granite, Essex, and it turned out to be a really good, great location. It was fun to work with. Um, my precedent was the Cantabria building in Community Center in Spain. It turned out to be just a great precedent for me. It had a great structural uh, form, nicely spaced columns with these nice big beams, and that really informed. So here's my rendering of my designs, and I was really able to get in deep into the details on this as well, which was really nice. But it really informed my project. Here's an example of the site plan I did. I actually got a chance to really dig in and try to work on my representation this semester. I have a long way to go. I know where I want it to be, and I know how to get there now. But I was working with modeling, doing some watercoloring, shading, textures, and yeah, it was just a good exercise to get where I want to go, and my improvement was really good this semester. So going back to the precedent, so the precedent was based on a perfect square, and I really liked the way that the structure worked and the layout worked, and so I really decided to kind of run with this idea, and I played with kind of some multiple levels on around the same size as the precedent was. However, that turned out to be too small, and so I started using that same sort of structural grid, stretching it out, and I wasn't happy with that. I felt like it was just it was there was no real, it wasn't really special. And so in talking to sorry, this is kind of a little bit of a later screen, but in talking to my professor, Professor Hitch, we were kind of taking that square back and kind of looking at the site, and there was a lot of extra space on that site, and he laid them sort of side by side with maybe a breezeway through the middle, and it turned out that that lit a light in my head, and I knew exactly what I was going to do, and that was to intersect the two square buildings, and it turned out great because the structure at the intersection point turned out to be this kind of perfect rectangle right here that sat on the structure. So it was really a perfect dovetail, and it made the whole project. So the so once I finally had that, the floor plan, the layout, the programming just kind of fell into place. I was able I used the first floor was all uh, the stalls and cold storage and dock, and maybe some other items in there like the bathrooms and I also put the cafe on the first floor ultimately. And then the second floor I wanted, which kind of has a bridging mezzanine that goes around, and this is all kind of community center, and it turned out to be great because you had this open area and open to the underside of the structure, so it kind of really made a really nice looking building. I was looking at different options for, staircases to the second floor. I like this kind of idea of next to the cafe having maybe some sort of a space that people could sit and hang out and eat. And it also could add some height to get to that second floor. Um, here's a picture from up on the bridge of the mezzanine, looking down over into the market space. Here's the the uh, uh, illuminate study that we did. This one, I initially had a skylight in the center over that center section. I really liked that idea, but there was way too much light coming in um, on that, so I had to rework my. And if you notice in this one, there's no louvers on the outside too, so I was just getting a lot of stuff a lot of light coming in. Ultimately, was able to solve all my problems by getting rid of that um, skylight and adding a clear story, and then adding louvers to the outside also helped to do the shading. I kind of reworked my doors as well, so it turned out really, really nice. Here's an example of the section detail of the front of the building, the front corner of the building with the roof and the louvers, the wall paneling, and the 50/50 overhead doors. Um, here's an example of the um, door that I was kind of envisioning for all around. So my exterior first floor, I wanted all those stalls to be out on the outside of the building, so people from the exterior along the streets could have access directly. You could also have access from inside the building, and I like this idea of these 50/50 overhead doors, and looked at some different examples of those, and seemed like the perfect solution. Again, I'd like to talk about the fact that all of these doors along this front part open up, and even along Essex over here. And so you have access to stalls all the way around the building. And here's an example of the wall panel that would go here. The windows would be up here, up the top. The middle section would have these wall panels, and they would have some sort of a metal facing panel on the outside, attached with some sort of furring strips of some kind. Here's a rendering with the buildings in the background of the building. I feel like it just came out really with a strong profile out to the street. Here's another rendering without anything else behind it. Again, the wood beams are exposed. The columns, which I'm envisioning as steel columns, are also exposed. It just makes for a nice expression of the building. These center on the second level here, those are all those metal panels that I pointed out, and then we have these high windows that go up here. So yeah, this project turned out great as far